loved ones. Today's presentation for Management 3234, Fundamentals of Entrepreneurship, would be session 4 in the syllabus. And I don't have any admin things to share with you. I do occasionally, and we'll get to the content relatively soon. We're going to go back to the Journal of Management Education article, and I'm going to talk about Appendix A and the complementary paragraphs in the body of the paper. So we're starting your venture journal. This is the first of 5 or 6 presentations where I try to make you aware of your responsibilities, because you will literally, one of your major evaluative tasks is to present me with a venture journal at the end of this summer session. So everything that I talk about now, about these appendices inside this article, is essentially an action item for you. You must do it, and I beg you, do not put it off. Get started soon, because a lot of this stuff is additive. You have to have a foundation to build on. So today we're going to start talking about the specific tasks that you must do to prepare and then present a venture journal to me at the end of this session. Before I do that, I want to share with you something that's kind of big stuff around here today. Yesterday, I think I might have mentioned that we had an active shooter drill, and there were a lot of local law enforcement cops on campus rehearsing and training and doing that sort of stuff. And it was a really good collaborative effort. There were 4 agencies, as I recall. Today, this place is nuts, and it's completely unrelated. I've only been here for about 2.5 or 3 hours, but almost the entire time I've been here, there's been this enormous amount of activity. There are literally F-16s flying combat air patrol over this building. There are SWAT teams just banging down doors. I told one of them that they're unlocked, but they were still banging through the doors. The FBI is on campus. We have black helicopters everywhere. I think there are 3 or 4 different news teams outside that have set up remote so that there's live feed going to their station. There are law enforcement officers everywhere. This is unbelievable. So the intelligence community is represented, the law enforcement community is represented, and even the military is here flying high cover over to Parker College. Now, this has been going on for 2.5 or 3 hours, and I'm piecing together the story. Please understand that what I have is incomplete because it's still evolving. But I've been able to talk with a lot of law enforcement officers, and I'm certain that my assessment is incomplete, but I have a reasonable sense for what's going on. Probably around 9:30 or 10, I went upstairs to, my chair had sent me a note and told me that there was a document in my box that was time critical, something that I had to sign or whatever. So our management department offices are on the 3rd floor, and I walked by one of the econ guys' offices, and the door was closed, but there was blue smoke rolling out from underneath it. Imagine that. So I got the document, came back down, I was working, and then this enormous amount of activity started bursting loose. So let me tell you what I understand, and this is from talking with some of the law enforcement folks who are in the building. Apparently, the econ guy was token on some Acapulco Gold, just to guess. I don't know what he was smoking. But, unsurprisingly, he got the munchies. So he left his office just briefly, because y'all remember we have vending machines on both ends of the hallway to get some Doritos. Imagine that. So he gets the Doritos and he goes back, and this whole little adventure probably didn't take 1.5 or 2 minutes, but because he was all jacked up, he left his office door open. There was no break-in, but some rat son of a gun entered his office, and they stole his lunchbox and his mittens. Yes. And this lunchbox was not ordinary. This was not one of those little, Cador things that you see. This was a collectible. This was a 1981 Power Rangers lunchbox. It was in extraordinary condition. It probably has incalculable value. All those guys on the Big Bang Theory would pay lots and lots of money to have this guy's lunchbox. So the lunchbox is gone, the mittens are gone. This guy is just having a duck. And apparently he called somebody in the intelligence community, either the NSA or the CIA, and he declared that there was some national security threat. So they mobilized everybody. That's why we've got F-16s flying high cover and FBI guys on the ground and everything else. The universities responded as well. They sent a team of 10 or 12 grief counselors to spend time with him, and they're rotating through 20-minute sessions to keep everybody fresh and sharp, and he's not responding well. Just in the last 2.5 or 3 hours, his chair has already given him course releases for the fall because he's pretty fragile. I'm not sure that he could get in front of students and make a meaningful contribution. So there's lots that I don't know. As I said, this is an emerging situation, and as I learn more, I'll be able to share it with you, but big stuff here on campus. The one thing I do want to point out, I know that we're online for the summer session, and there aren't many of you who know me. Sydney, I see you. Sydney McDaniels had me once before, and I'm delighted to have her back, so Sydney would know. I've carried concealed for 40 years, and I do that discreetly. I think that's the whole point of concealed carry. So what I really want you to know is that if you're in the building, I will protect you. Yes. Always hot, always carry. So let me jump to the material. This stuff is embedded in that Journal of Managed Education article. I'm going to go right now to Appendix A, and this is the first of many action items for you that flow from this article. All right, Appendix A. Again, everything we talk about in these appendices represents an action item. It's something that you must do because it will become a part of your venture journal, which is a significant piece of what you're doing here. So I need you, each of you individually, this is always an individual task, to prepare a list of 10 or 15 of your significant personal accomplishments. It doesn't matter. There's no criterion other than you think that they are significant. I had a woman who told me that losing her freshman weight was a significant accomplishment. And if you look back in the body of the article, you'll see that kids told me that they were class valedictorians. I've had people tell me that they scored 1,000 points as a basketball player in high school, just all sorts of things. It doesn't matter what it is. I can promise you, you have more than 10 or 15 personal accomplishments that in your view are significant. And they could come from anywhere. They could come, look at this, they could come from a work-related environment, they could come from educational context, anything. You could have won a spelling bee in the 5th grade. You could have performed well in high school. They could come in the pursuit of a hobby. How many of you are athletes for fun, amateur athletes? They could come from sports, they could come from anything. So the achievement has no relevance. Think through your life, everything that you can recall, and identify 10 or 15 or perhaps more. We've had students who do this thoughtfully, put a lot of energy into this, who come up with 35 or 40. But this is not a contest. But minimally, I expect 10 or 15 things that in your view are significant personal accomplishments. Now, to develop this list, you really just need to indicate 3 things. For each accomplishment that you identify, please tell me on a piece of paper, because this will go into a 3-ring binder. I say that. You'll have hard copy, I'll get the electronic version. Your approximate age at the time of each of these achievements, approximate age. Enough information so that I understand the nature. Don't just say, I done good in school. Give me something substantive. And indicate why, in your view, that was important. You could be overcoming something, you could have set a school record, I don't care, it doesn't matter. Why was it important to you? You're the only person who gets a voice in what is a significant personal accomplishment. No one else does. So let me scroll down and see what remains in this Appendix A thing. Okay. Once you've done this, and again, I won't see any of this until late in this summer session. I don't remember what the date is, but I know it's in the very tail end of our summer B session. Once you've done this, please tell me, or rather, please rank them. Let's say that you have 10. I know that this is a forced choice, but rank them. Tell me the one that is most significant to you, and then the second most significant, and that sort of thing. And this last sentence, or the next sentence rather, you can throw away. You do not have to complete this before our next class. This was often taught in an MBA course where we meet once a week, and indeed people had to do that, complete Appendix A before we started B, but you're not on the same timeline. So this sentence that says you must complete it before our next class is irrelevant to you. Now, in terms of a sample template, I'm going to show it to you, and it's utterly simple. Please tell me what the accomplishment is, your approximate age, and in this description thing, not just what it was, but why it's important to you. Again, I had a student not long in the past who gained 60 pounds as a freshman. And she really committed to eating well and having a regular exercise program. Those were her standards, not anybody else's. And she lost the weight, and she's kept it off, and she's pleased with that. But again, that was her view of an important personal accomplishment. So that's it for Appendix A. Again, as I say, each of these appendices is an action item. You must do what is asked in each of these things because it becomes part of your venture journal. Now, before I leave today's presentation, I want to scroll up into the body because you may remember when we did the article review of this a few days ago, as I went through this entire article, for every session, this would be session 1, there's a complementary appendix. So I want to go back up into session 1 and see if there's anything that I can pull out of there that might help you. Oops, that is session 1, I was in it. Okay. Session 1, you've already read the article, you're working on the article review. Now, this is just a textual presentation that's more expansive because in the body of the paper, my co-author and I were talking to entrepreneurship educators. We're saying this is what we think is a reasonable approach to teaching systematic search to your students. So we asked you to develop a list of personal accomplishments. There is one criterion. Do you think you did it well, whatever it is? Doesn't matter if others share the same view. What if, for the sake of discussion, my 40-yard dash is 14.4. It's probably more like 27.3, and that's if I have a rocket strapped to my back. But what if I could take my 14-second 40-yard dash and train real hard and get it down to 12? That's still slow, but that's a remarkable improvement, isn't it? Would that be a significant personal accomplishment to me? Could be. So you're the only person that matters. And it could come from anything, occupation, education, recreational venues. Now, we'd like to do 10 or 15. Each of them is augmented. What was your approximate age and why was it important? Why is it significant? That's it. I mean, there's nothing else. There's no mystery. We're not coding, we're not judging, we're not rating or evaluating. What else we got in here? So in this last part of the paragraph that's at the top of the screen, we simply give examples. There's a woman who was her high school valedictorian. There was a CPA who passed her exam on the first time. Somebody won a regional championship racing sports cars. Job stuff. Solving IT problems. There are some of you who may be former military, significant accomplishments there. Community service projects. The Hearts and Hands Clinic on College Avenue in Statesboro started out as a service project by kids on campus. And now the medical community supports them. And the Hearts and Hands Clinic provides free health care to people who are indigent, people who don't have health insurance coverage or income sources or whatever. Big stuff. Big stuff. And nothing needs to be a home run. It just needs to be significant in your view. That's the only criteria. And then again, we talk about Appendix A because that's the action item for you. So all I really wanted to do was describe first what my expectations are for you, because Appendix A will become part of your venture journal. And I wanted to scroll back up into the body to see what we said about that training session. So for today, that's it. This was a baby class because we're just focusing on a single task. And of course, clearly, it's on you to work independently, even though we don't have a lot of contact time with this particular video. So, since I'm done, I have to ask the attendance verification question. What precisely was stolen from that econ guy's office up on the 3rd floor? All right, love you. Talk to you soon.